Welcome back to another video. This one will be about photographing kitchen utensils using a fairly simple setup and getting professional results or high quality results. To make this one a bit interesting, I'm gonna be using a Canon 40D. It's like super old. I'll put up the release date on the screen. It's 10 megapixels. It only goes up to ISO 1600, I believe. But anyways, it's a dirt cheap camera. You can pick it up for like $60. In fact, I got mine for around $60 on KEH, not a sponsor. So in terms of setup, what I have going here is I'm actually using my iPad as a dark reflective surface. It works pretty well for that purpose. But if you're gonna do that, make sure to put it in airplane mode so you don't get like notifications and causing your screen to light up. And do this at your own risk because I won't be held liable for you scratching your screen. Under the iPad, I have a matte photo paper, a white version or white one. I'm gonna photograph on that as well. In terms of lighting, I have a diffuser here, round diffuser. Behind that, I have a white umbrella, and acting as the light, I have a newer C250. It's a fairly cheap studio light, but it works well. And yeah, in terms of the lens, I'm using a Lauer 90mm macro lens. This is actually an RF lens, and it does fit onto the APS-C Canon body here. It doesn't lock into place, so don't try this at home, folks. But yeah, if you line it up, let's see. Yeah, if you line it up, and hard to do this and film at the same time. Yeah, line it up and just turn. It stays on well enough. See, I can even pick it up using the lens. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't officially, or it doesn't lock into place. You won't hear a click, and you can easily turn it. So this is fairly dangerous, and you can easily drop your lens or your camera and damage both. So I wouldn't advise that one, but it does work. Anyways, I'll take a few shots and bring them into Lightroom, see if this camera can produce anything of quality, and then we'll upload them to the stock agencies. One big limitation of this setup though is that you lose infinity focus. So I'm gonna be fairly close to these objects that I'm photographing. So I'm gonna have to get creative and almost make them somewhat abstract. But let's see what we get. As I'm photographing and looking at these images on the back of the screen, which is a terrible screen, by the way, you cannot tell if anything is in focus. But what I can see is a lot of sensor dust. I'm shooting at f11. Yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare to remove in Lightroom. I'll probably bring it into Photoshop, it's faster there. Yeah, but that sucks. Okay, carrying on. Yeah, at 10 megapixel, there is virtually no room to crop, so definitely get the composition right. Because 10 megapixels is not very forgiving. Alright, so having loaded the photos into Lightroom, the first thing I will start to do is check for critical focus. I will zoom in on the photos at 100%. Make sure you're in the develop module while you're doing this, because if you're in the library module, it will only zoom in on the JPEG preview, which won't show you the full quality of the image. So yeah, I will go through all of the photos and select only the ones that are perfectly in focus, because they will get rejected otherwise on the stock agencies. and there's no sense in wasting time trying to make a blurry photo sharp. So my culling method is to first go through, and all the images that I want to keep I will rate 3 stars, and then after that I will filter the library by all the rated photos, which will be all 3 stars. And once I have all of those photos, I will then go through again a second time and look at the photos again, and finally the ones that I really want to keep, I will give those a color tag of green, which is the number 8 on your keyboard if you're in the develop or the library module. The ones that are colored green are the ones that I will edit and upload to the stock agencies. Yeah, that method works well for me because the first time you go through and select the photos, you will oftentimes over select, and then when you start editing, you'll notice that you have images that are really similar, and yeah, you probably could get rid of some of them. So the second time of going through, you'll get your final photos. Alright guys, so these are all the photos that I rated with 3 stars, about 35 or so. As you can see, I've already been through and I've started editing a few of them. I took a lot of photos, 367 to be exact, and that's because I really couldn't tell what was in focus, and I was overshooting just to have backups of each shot. Yeah, it's very hard to tell what's in focus, and like I said in the video there, even when you zoom in on the LCD screen on the back, it's such a low resolution that you can't really tell if it's in focus or not. So that's a limitation of the camera right there. The other problem I ran into, and I'm on this photo right now because I want to illustrate that point, and this is not a fault of the camera, it's just a factor of the age and the care that it went through prior, and that's with the sensor dust. So there's a lot of sensor dust on this photo here, and in fact that was a major factor in deciding what photos I wanted to edit, because I didn't want to spend too much time in Lightroom or in Photoshop trying to remove sensor dust, when in reality you're only getting like 10 cents for these images. But let's really look at the sensor dust here. So if I was to go over to the healing brush tool, and on the toolbar here, if you're not seeing that, you can hit the letter T to show the toolbar, and then hit visualize spots. Look at all that sensor dust. That's crazy. And some of them you won't see it in the final edit, but a lot of them you will. Once you start editing the photo, pulling shadows, raising exposure, lowering exposure, you'll start seeing those spots come out. And when the reviewers zoom into your images at 100% to review them, they will see those spots. So this image I surely did not pick because I did not want to go through and try and remove all of those spots. Yeah, so you know that will vary based on the camera that you get, if you do get that camera. All right, so let's look at the photos that I want to edit, and I have them over here. So these are the ones I went through and decided to edit, and you can see there's still some sensor dust all over. But I realized that on the darker images, it hides some of the sensor spots. And this wouldn't be a big problem if you were photographing the images at let's say a 2.8 aperture, or you know, not even a 5.6 or so. But at f11 and on a crop sensor camera, you're gonna get a lot of sensor spots showing up. All right, so I'm not gonna edit all of these images. I'm just gonna select this one that I want to edit, and I will edit that, keyword it, and then upload it to Shutterstock. Before moving on, another limitation of the camera is highlight recovery. You don't get a lot of latitude to play around with highlights. In fact, on any other camera, any other modern camera, the highlights in this area would be perfectly preserved. But it's not in this image. If I was to pull the highlights down all the way, even pull the exposure down all the way, you can still see that we have blown spots here. And if I was to hover over, let's see. All right, so it's not saying that it's completely blown, but you can see that this is not good. I mean, look at the highlight roll off. This is atrocious. Yeah, look at that. Look at the delineation between this gradient area here. It's just bad. But you know, it's an old camera. You cannot expect too much. It's up to you, the photographer, to get the exposure correct, and don't blame the camera. So yeah, that's my fault. All right, so let's get back to the image. All right, so this is the one I want to edit. The first thing I'm gonna do is lower the highlights a little, and there's not much to recover there. And let's see. And play with the white balance. I like that gold color coming out, so I'm gonna really play around with that. I do not like that. Yeah, that's good there. Let's see, up on the texture, clarity, some dehaze, and alright, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with that entire edit. Nothing was said that I haven't said in previous videos, so I'm just gonna speed through here. Alright, so I'm satisfied with that edit. The next thing I would do is then create my keywords. So I usually use Notepad and not Notepad, but Notes on the Mac system here, and then I just go through and put in some keywords and titles. As you can see, I have them separated by the different kind of photos I have here. Yeah, so you know, I'm just gonna select these, copy, and then go to the library module, and in the keywords section here, I'm just gonna paste, and let's see, make sure I have spoon in there. Alright, and I do the same thing for the title. And I just find the title and the caption, and yep. And I just realized that these are not spoons, so I can remove that the spoon from the keywords. Yeah, that's it. So then I'm gonna export. All right, so once it's exported, I'm gonna open it in Photoshop to do some final removal of spots that I couldn't get in Lightroom. Let's see, so in particular, these little spots down here. Let's make a copy of the background, Control J, and I'm using the spot healing brush tool. Okay, so that's done. I'm just gonna hit Control S to save, and up, I'm gonna flatten the image first, Control E to merge, and then Control S to save. All right, so that's done. I can. All right, so once we're on Photoshop, you can see they have that egregious warning about they're gonna bring us back to level 1 starting January 1st, which sucks. But that's not what we're here for. Let's go to add, upload media, and then I'm just gonna drag this one over, and that's uploaded. We click next. All right, and category, you can see that it brought over all of our keywords and the caption. So I'm gonna say food and drink, and then the second category is, I don't know, it's kind of abstract. Yeah, and let's see what they say for suggestions for keywords. White, yep. There, dishware, there is nobody in there. Breakfast, yep. Restaurant. They didn't have fork in there, huh? Cutlery. Tableware. Yeah, 41 keywords, that's pretty good. Yeah, and then I would hit submit. I'm not going to because I've already submitted this image. As you can see, I have 6 of them pending, and these are the 6 final photos that I submitted. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So the 40D, it's a good camera, and I think it is suitable for stock photography. There is some limitations, of course. You know, the 10 megapixels is really small. You don't have a lot of room to crop. The highlights, you don't have a lot of room to play with highlights, so you really kind of have to get your exposure correct. In terms of pulling the shadows, you do have a lot more latitude to pull the shadows, but it doesn't perform well with ISO, so you're going to bring out a lot of noise. And ISO is a limitation as well, because it only goes to 1600. You can push it to 32, but that's pushing it. So you know, it's a very old camera. Keep that in mind. So know its limitations, and you can get beautiful images with the camera, and very usable for stock. In fact, I'll show you that it can take good photos that are really sharp. Colors are nice. Let's see. All right, so here's a quick one of my daughter, and if we zoom in, you can see it's a sharp image. Let's see what lens this was taken with. This was taken with the 50mm 1.4 lens, and it's nice. Here's one of my son. Beautiful colors. This is edited, but even if I was to reset it, you can see the colors are very nice on this. So that's the edit, and that's the original. Very sharp. No sensor dust, because this was shot at, let's see. This was shot at f2.0. So yeah, no sensor dust visible here at all. And noise performance, this is at ISO 100, so the noise is perfectly fine. Let's look at another image. Yeah, let's see. This is also at ISO 100. Very sharp, and yeah, no sensor spots. Very good image. If I was to reset it, there we go. That's the original. So yeah, the 40D is more than capable of taking beautiful photos. Let's see if I have one this is at ISO 400. So if we zoom in, even then, this is the original image, and this is the edited. I don't think I'm doing any noise. Yeah, I'm not doing any noise reduction on this image, and as you can see, that's fine at ISO 400. So Still a capable camera, but a lot of limitations nonetheless. Let's see. ISO 400 again. And this is good. Very nice. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of you watch the channel and or watch my videos but are not subscribed. Just do me a quick favor and look if you're subscribed. If not, then hit that subscription button. That would mean a lot. All right, so until next time, have a good one.